In this video, we are going to talk about increasing intervals. It's right here, increasing, decreasing intervals, and then constant intervals. So the same. We're also going to review our domain and range that we talked about yesterday. So let's first start off with that review. Remember, domain is all of our x values. And when we look for our domain, we look left to right. For range, that's going to be all of our y values. And we're going to read that bottom of the graph to top of the graph. For intervals of increasing, this is where the graph goes up from left to right. So we're always going to read the graph from left to right like we do with our domain. Decreasing is where the graph goes down. Sorry, that's a G. From left to right. And then our constant is where our graph stays the same. From left to right. All right, if you need more time to copy down those definitions, please pause the video now. Also with these intervals, we are always going to use our x values. So we're always using the same values we would use for the domain. The only time we use y values is with the range. Everything else is our x values. We also are only going to use parentheses or round brackets. With domain and range, we could have used parentheses, square brackets, or a combination of those. But with intervals, we're always only going to use the round brackets or the parentheses. All right, so if we look at this graph, the first thing they want to know is my domain. Those are my x values. So again, we're going to look at the graph from left to right. So the most left point is here, and the x value associated with that is -11. And the most right point is here, and the x value is 11. So that means my domain is going to be -11 to 11. Our range is going to be our y values, and we're going to look bottom of the graph to the top of the graph. So my lowest point on the graph is here, and the y value for that is -2. This is also the highest point on the graph, and the y value that's associated with that is 6. So my range is going to be -2 to 6. Now, the second part of this is all talking about our intervals of increasing, intervals of decreasing, and constant. So if we're talking about an interval of increasing, that's when our graph is going up. So I'm going to go to this graph and I'm going to highlight all the parts of the graph is going up. But again, we're looking at the graph from left to right, so this direction. So if I'm tracing the graph in this first section, it's actually going down. In the second section, it's going up, then down again, then up. So I have two sections where I have intervals of increasing. So it starts here, ends here, and then starts here and ends here. So we're using our x values, again, always using our x-axis to describe. So it starts here at -8, and it increases until we get to -5. So the first interval of increasing is going to be -8 to -5. And then we have a second interval, so we're going to use a union to say and. It starts increasing again here at -2, and it keeps increasing until we get here at 4. So from -2 to 4. Then we're going to focus on where our graph decreases. So arrow down, so where our graph is going down. So again, reading the graph from left to right. So over this way, goes down, up, constant. So we have two sections where it is decreasing. So here and here. So it's decreasing from -11 to -8. And then there's a second section, so we're going to put a union. And then it's decreasing from -5 here to -2. Okay, so decrease, increase, decrease, increase. And then we have our last section here which is our constant, and it's constant from 4 to 11. So our last section here is constant, and that's going to be from, sorry guys, trying to change my color, 4 to 11. So again, always using our x values to describe our intervals.